And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to The Bald Truth. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Live from Los Angeles. It's so great to be here. I'm Spencer Kobren. And I'm sorry I started a couple of minutes late. Had some technical issues. It's like a typhoon here in Southern California. So let's hope everything is working out well with the broadcast, the sound, and the video. Again, 888-659-3727. Listen, if you are new to the broadcast, don't know who I am or why I'm here, I'm a consumer advocate for men and women suffering with hair loss. I'm the author of The Bald Truth and The Truth About Women's Hair Loss. And, this is an on-air support group for men and women dealing with hair loss. And as strange as that may seem, if you're just tuning in for the first time, you guys have to understand that 2/3 of you by the age of 35 will suffer with some degree of hair loss. I just read a news statistic that came out that basically states that 9 out of 10 men by the age of 70 will be really bald. So I know that seems old for you guys, but eventually, hopefully, if you're lucky, that's going to happen. So most of you are going to suffer with some degree of hair loss at some stage in your life. Now, I started to lose my hair at about the age of 21, and I have been fighting the good fight for about 25 years. And I've been lucky enough to stop the progression, or I should say slow the progression of my hair loss using FDA-approved medication. And give myself a semblance of a full-looking head of hair with a little scalp makeup, a lot of hairspray, a little prayer, and a lot of luck. And I say a lot of luck because I am one of the guys that did well on the drug finasteride, and I've been on it for about 17 years. For you ladies out there that are just tuning in, may just be stumbling on the program, 40% of hair loss sufferers are women, and most women who deal with hair loss, believe it or not, will start struggling with it before the age of 40. About 20% of hair loss sufferers, female hair loss sufferers, begin the process before the age of 25. So it is a silent epidemic of huge proportions. I always say biblical proportions. And women are almost as prone to androgenetic alopecia or common female or male pattern baldness as men. So sadly, it's a ticking time bomb. Most of you are not safe. I don't mean to put the fear of God in you, but this is why this program has been on the air for the last 14 years. This is why I'm able to do this each and every week. This is why our online resources are just, flooded with hair loss sufferers trying to gather information, trying to learn, trying to share with each other, trying to cope with something that sadly society doesn't really allow us to talk about. We're not allowed to mourn the loss of our hair. We're not allowed to feel uncomfortable with our hair loss. Especially as men. We're not allowed to really take it seriously. If we talk about hair loss as a serious issue, everyone's like, oh, wow, it's only hair loss. What's the big deal? Well, I'll tell you why it's a big deal. Well, I don't think it's cancer. I've always described it as a cancer of the spirit. Well, I don't think, there are far worse issues than hair loss. There really are. Now, I know Joe from Staten Island will not be happy with me saying this, but that's just the fact. But again, with that said, This is an issue that affects every aspect of our lives as hair loss sufferers. I deal with issues of wind and rain and swimming and, going out salsa dancing. As insane as that is, I really don't do that often. But you sweat, so I got to deal with the coif, the quasi bouffant Trump the early years hairdo that I deal with, and I have to always be concerned about that because as much as I've saved, it's still not what it should be, what I'd like it to be, what it was before I started the hair loss process. It's looking very Trumpy today, as a matter of fact. I just got out of the shower. You guys don't have to agree with that in the chat room, by the way. I haven't seen you agree with it, but you probably are. Let me give out the phone number, 888-659-3727, 888-659-3727. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is the Hair Loss Show. Feel free to call in, ask any questions that you'd like. If you have any concerns about hair loss, honestly, this is a safe place. We do not sell anything. I am not selling products or services. I do not take any money from pharmaceutical companies. All the information that we provide to the consumer is absolutely free. Now, if you want to buy my books, that's a different story. You pay my publishers. And of course, I receive a royalty. But I'm not here to sell you my books. You're not going to hear a commercial for my books. 888-659-3727. Let's get to the phones. I'm sure that the guy that's been holding on, this light that's been on for like 30 minutes, is Joe. So let's see. Hey, you're on the air.
Yes, I'm going to have to dedicate the show tonight to my favorite baldtruth.com poster, Maradona. This cat has a complex who thinks I have something against him. I don't. I consider him to be very intelligent, even though I disagree with many of his statements. And I do not believe he's one of my detractors. I only have one question for you, my friend Maradona. Is that picture on a baldtruth.com really you, man?
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
My name is excuse me. My name is
Would you like to may I reiterate it?
My name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
Joe, I didn't know what you're talking about. What's going on in the chat, in the on baldtruthtalk.com that I'm missing?
Well, there's a common poster, Maradona, who posts like multiple posts every day at baldtruth.com. And this guy's picture is a full mop of hair. I don't know if that's him or is it, and he said that I believe that, he's one of my detractors.
Well, I don't know if that's him either. A lot of people have just avatars, and maybe that is him. But, there's a lot of guys who may be using an older picture, or there's guys that still have a lot of hair, and they're losing it. Just like, when you're losing your hair. Yeah. So you don't have to be completely bald to be involved in our world. As I get a lot of shit for that. All the time. Andrew Zarian told me a story I'm not going to repeat unless he calls in later about somebody who, was talking about that, and people see the show. They're like, wait a second, it looks like he's got hair on his head. What is that, a piece? What's going on? Why is he doing a hair loss show? And, the key is, I was lucky enough to save a lot of hair. And this is what I always say. If you're going to go to a trainer, if you're going to train your body, if you're going to spend money to make yourself fit, you're going to go to the guy that's out of shape, or you're going to go to the guy that's fit?
Go to the guy who's fit.
I think you won this round, Joe.
Thank you. Well, this guy Maradona has like a mop. I just want to clear this up. I have nothing against the cat. So maybe he should get over the complex.
Well, why? He thinks that you have some sort of he thinks that you think he has an issue with him.
Right. I have no issue with the guy at all. He has some kind of complex, I think. Maybe he has mental issues. I'm not really sure.
Look, you have to understand that a lot of the guys on the message forum, Joe, you have to be like the elder statesman. You know, a lot of the guys on the message forum are young cats. A lot of these guys are in their 20s, early 20s.
Yes, he is.
You know, so I mean, you have to understand that you know, whatever they may think that you think, you know, I mean, you just kind of have to help to guide them a little bit.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to make that clear for Maradona tonight. I'm sure he's listening to the show. I'll bet my life on it. I'm sure there'll be a post on me tomorrow on thebaldtruth.com about this.
Well, we'll see. So I know that you have some big news, Joe, that you wanted to talk about.
Yes. Well, as you know, I was forced to break into the Andrew Zarian show, which is hosted by you, Spencer Kobren, and Cocoa Butter. It could be heard at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday nights on the Guy from Queens Network. I had no choice but to break in with a special bulletin.
You know what's funny about that, Andrew Zarian, if you're listening? How come Joe gets it right, but Chauncey Hayden can't get that right? That's what I don't understand. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're the boss. You can interrupt anytime you want. You're in charge.
But go ahead.
I'm just a caller. Well, as you know, I've had a very exhausting past three or 4 days, digesting hundreds of newspaper articles, digesting ABC News, CBS News, NBC News, Fox News, CNN News. I can't keep up with it. So I'm physically exhausted. I slept the whole day just to prepare for tonight's show.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you're ready. Let's go.
So if you don't mind, I just prepared a brief synopsis. Will take about 90 seconds for our viewers to just condense the news. Would you mind?
I don't mind, Joe. Go ahead.
Okay, this is what I've...
I know your levels are very high. Let me bring you down. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I appreciate that. And by the way, before I get to the news, I must say a special hi to my new girlfriend, Chrissy, from Andrew Zarian's show and Mr. Wiggles. They actually mentioned him this evening.
All right.
Okay. The discovery that prostaglandins might be the catalyst that sets baldness in motion was a surprise to the researchers, who hadn't thought about prostaglandins in relation to hair loss, said Dr. George Castorales in multiple interviews. From there, researchers were able to identify the receptor, the cellular landing dock, for D2 called GPR44, which is a way to block a receptor or somehow thwart PGD2's path into it. And if this happens, you'll be able to regrow hair. Now, here's the exciting part about this. This is not in the future. This is I'm not saying it works. If it does, this is now. Coincidentally, both Merck, very coincidentally when I say the word Merck, and Actelion corporations have two drugs which do exactly this. They inhibit the PGD2's protein pathway. They're called Sepraton by Actelion and Lanaprant by Merck. And these drugs are in phase 3 trials. They expect to be in the market within 3 to 6 months, for other medical issues such as asthma, allergies, and facial flushing.
Right. Well, just to try to put that in English for our listeners, and I said this to you on the Andrew Zarian show, that we have known, and that's why I'm kind of surprised at some of the statements of Castorales, but it's not that it's bad. This is great news. We've known that these prostaglandins had played some role in hair growth, and we thought, at least some scientists thought, hair loss. At least that's what I was told years ago. So I'm kind of surprised this is new news, but it's great that it's coming out now. And if we can inhibit these abnormal amounts of proteins, these prostaglandins, which they call prostaglandin D2, from developing in the scalp of balding men and they think balding women, that could be a tremendous link to really slowing, stopping, or reversing male pattern baldness. Now, you have to understand, there's obviously a huge connection to DHT as well, because we know that finasteride does work for a lot of guys, as far as at least slowing the progression, reversing the miniaturization process. So maybe we're going to be working on a 1-2 punch, or perhaps if we could block this protein from forming in our scalps, maybe that's all we'll need. And I guess only time will tell. But it is exciting that there are drugs that are coming down the pike very, very shortly that can block these proteins from developing in the scalp. And I'm sure they're going to be used off-label.
That's I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's exciting. It's absolutely exciting. But I don't want you guys to be over the top excited because we still don't know if, in fact, this will reverse the process completely, if it's just going to slow the process, or if it's just going to stop the process. You know, if it's for younger guys early and women early in the hair loss process, is this something that they're, a type of medication they can take and then just halt the process? That would be a miracle. But for all the guys out there that are dealing with long-term hair loss like you, Joe, we don't know how it's going to affect you guys. We don't even know how it's going to affect anyone. But, the theory is, in theory, Costaralis and his team think that it could reverse the process.
Yeah, it's actually reverse the process. And guess what's coming out in 2013, which is a prostaglandin itself. Teased by allergen.
Right.
Coincidence? I mean, all the pieces seem to be coming together.
Well, the pieces are coming together, and that's exciting. It really is. I think guys like Andrew Zarian, I mentioned his name 3 times, probably won't have to worry too much about hair loss in the next few years.
That's probably true. I'm gonna have to, if you don't mind, just 1 more minute, Spencer. I'm gonna have to castigate some people in the chat room because they ask me if there's any news. I mean, don't these people watch TV? Don't they read newspapers, or they live in caves?
Don't worry about the chat room, dude. You go in there, you fight it out, have fun. That's what you know what the great thing about the chat room is? Everyone's got a goddamn opinion, and that's fine. That's what makes it fun. Same with the message forums. Not everybody's right, and a lot of people are just, sadly, they're off their rockers. Not necessarily in this chat room, but I mean, online in general. But, that's what makes the world go round, And, the bottom line is we need to get the facts out to the public. There's a lot of guys out there that may disagree with the way you deal with hair loss. They may disagree with, a lot of guys disagree with my thoughts on finasteride and the fact that, I'm just one guy who really believes in the drug and it's helped him a lot. They don't like the fact that I'm out there, in my view, giving my opinion about the drug. And I guess because of the position that I'm in, I guess people feel that I really can't just state an opinion. Everything has to be, followed up with some sort of scientific data. I think that I do follow it up with scientific data, but it doesn't necessarily meet the demands of a lot of the anti-propecia guys. So,
well, I think you are very learned. I mean, you're obviously the most learned person in the country on hair loss.
I would say I am the most knowledgeable person one of the most knowledgeable people about the hair loss industry. I know a lot about hair loss. I know a lot about, what's coming down the pike, and I understand, the process, and I understand the way the drugs work. But it's really, my focus has always been the industry itself, helping guide people through this crazy industry. So, I mean, Joe, anyone can get this information. I mean, you're out there, doing your research. It's a lot more difficult to really help people navigate through this crazy industry because you have to really be in it to know it and to understand it.
But it's just amazing to me that the way the press, they jump over these things. Has arrived. It's really, the coverage has been, outrageous. Well,
that's the way it is. Anytime there's anything about hair loss, the coverage is going to be outrageous. If you're talking about impotence or hair loss, which is funny because we are just mentioning finasteride, not funny, but I guess it's ironic. The press is going to jump all over it. It's a sexy story. Hair loss affects everybody, man, almost everybody. And for the the guys that are not affected by hair loss are the anomalies in our world.
Right. That thought occurred to me today. Why are we castigated by society? We're the normal people. People who aren't losing hair are the abnormal ones.
That's just the way it is.
That's what
I'm not saying they're not abnormal. They're just the lucky ones. They're minority as we get older, and as people start getting into their 30s, 40s, and 50s. Most people will have some hair loss. It's unusual for someone to have a completely full, thick, dense of gray head of gray hair. Very unusual.
Except for my father.
Except for your father. So listen, I'm going to let you get back into the chat to battle it out. I'm going to put you on hold and take some phone calls.
Well, will you have your staff check in with me now and then?
Absolutely.
So I can say what's going on?
Absolutely. You got it.
Thank you very much, Spencer. You're an excellent person.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hello.
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 How's it going?
How's it going with you? George.
Yes.
How are you, man? What's going on?
Oh, just out driving around, taking care of errands, and realizing in my little podunk town of Mobile that every friggin' thing closes at 6 o'clock on Sunday, and they roll the sidewalks up.
Yeah, well,
In the ass.
you got to move, dude.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've been saying that for 50 years, so, 40-something years.
50 years, bro. 50 years. How does it feel to be 50 years old?
Well, it doesn't feel I don't feel internally any different than I did, much different than I did when I was 25.
Right.
I really don't. And even though I'm, was freaked out over the aging thing and all that stuff, and the fact that I hit this really scary milestone. And when you get to be this age, you start to think, with the advances in anti-aging and regenerative medicine and the extension of the possibility of the human lifespan and our genetic potential as a doctors are saying 140 to 150, 120, 150 years old, where most people only living like half that time because of their not taking care of themselves. So there's a possibility I could live way past 100 in great health, but the average lifespan now, for men, 76 point something or 77 point whatever. You reach this age, and all of a sudden you realize, according to today's standards, you got more in the rearview mirror than is in front of you.
Well, yes.
By today's standards, and that's a sobering thought. I told you, as much as I was bummed out by it, you think, God, I'm old, and I'm never going to get attention from young hot girls anymore, and then I went to that Jimi Hendrix.
Dude, that's
thing
what hookers are for. I keep telling you.
Yeah,
that.
you're right. I know. And I went to this Jimi Hendrix concert on the coast, and this friend's little 16-year-old daughter thought I was in my 20s, and she's like, "Why are you hanging out with these old people?" And I'm like, "Because I'm their age."
Right.
So that softened the blow a little bit, but still, like I said, you look and you say, God, there may be more in the rearview mirror than in front. So, but your counsel to TJ, mail order bride or hookers,
Look, if that's all you're interested in, if you think there's so much more to life than I think than just attracting women. It's great to be able. It's great to be able to attract women. It's a great thing. It's great to be able to be youthful and still attract young women. But you know what? If you can't, there's always some 22-year-old Russian chick who needs a green card.
Is that so wrong? Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's not so wrong. It's just that been there, done that. Of course, she already was here, but and was seeking her citizenship. But the deal is that it feels kind of counterfeit to me. I don't want to be, even though I'm getting to be an old dude, I want to be with a hot girl who's physically attracted to me and not faking it. Like I see so many of these middle-aged dudes in their 50s and 60s. Well, they're 50s, 60s are past middle age, but you see these old guys in the coffee shops and in the bookstore, and they'll have some hot Eastern Bloc chick with them pushing the stroller. And these guys are getting to be over the hill, and they got some hot young chick who's pushing the stroller around. And and you look at these Eastern Bloc girls, the Russians, the Romanians, the Ukrainians, whatever, the Czech Republic girls, beautiful face, hot body, and you look in their eyes, and they got those dead, soulless-looking eyes.
Yeah,
they were raised in that post-communist, and of course it's just as bad now because the KGB, which used to run it, is now the Russian mafia, and they're just as brutal as they were when it was run by the Soviet regime. So they're raised in that nightmare. They basically are selling their bodies and their souls to get out of there, and they come over and marry these old guys and download tricycle motors, so they can get their foot over here and get a lock and staying here. But you always are thinking, hey, are they really with you because they care about you, or just because they want to stay here? And then are you going to be with them 3 or 4 years and they're going to try to divorce you and take your kid and your money from you? That kind of crap.
Well, that's why, first of all, especially if they're right off the boat, you have a obviously a prenuptial, but you also have a pre-signed divorce. You get them loaded, you have them sign the divorce, and then you're good to go.
We better get back on the hair loss subject before Joe castigates me.
And Andrew Zarian reminded me that you guys in the chat room can just press the menu bar and change your nickname to whatever you want. So it doesn't have to be all GFQ viewers. So you just go to menu, and I'm going to do it right now, and it says change nickname, and you click that. You type in whatever nickname you want. I better type in mine before someone takes it. And you go. Go ahead, dude.
Buddy of mine that's in his early 50s and mostly bald, but he's got a million health problems, 1 foot in the grave and one on a banana peel.
That's
I was
funny,
talking to
actually.
him. Yeah, I was talking to him a couple of days. He's like, "Hey, did you hear about the big hair loss breakthrough thing?" Because he knows how obsessed I am with the whole thing. You know, he's ruined his health. And we worked together in the medical equipment business in 1985, renting out durable medical equipment. And you know, he came from a very wealthy family, physician's family, and the guy just ruined his health with prescription drugs and alcohol and smoking. And now he's had heart attacks and abdominal aortic bypasses, and he's impotent. He can barely walk. Guy's 53 years old, and 1 foot in the grave, one on a banana peel.
Wow.
So, Spence, you'll get a laugh out of this. He calls me up 2 years ago, half dead, and he's like, hey, you remember how you used to drag me to the health food store and preach to me about eating right and all that shit all the time and dog me out about my smoking and taking all my prescription drugs and stuff? He said, is it too late for me to change? And I said, not too late until you're dead and decomposing. But, you know, don't you love how they wait until they're all fucked up before they want to do anything about it?
A few of my friends, and there's one in particular, I'm not going to mention his name, some of them got onto finasteride early on. I had a guy last week on the program, 2 weeks ago, whatever, or I think last week, Raph, and I had another friend here who he doesn't want me to mention his name, but he was here the other day for Andrew's show, just kind of sitting in the studio. They both got on finasteride relatively early. The second guy, he took a little longer than he spit on the mic than he should have, but he still he saved a lot of hair. His hair looks great. And he actually started balding a lot later than the rest of us. But there's one guy that started probably about 12 years ago, and he asked me about it. And I'm like, listen, dude, if you want to stop it, you got to start taking it now. He's like, you know what? I'm going to wait until I really need to take it. Last time I saw him, his hairline's up to here. And now now he wants to do something.
None are so blind as they who will not see. And there's only so much you can do with dumbasses. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. But this guy calls me up and he says, "Hey, did you hear about the big hair loss breakthrough?" I said, "What?" He said, "Hey, I read that they're got these mice with male pattern hair loss and that they're regrowing all their hair." And I said, "Yeah, that's old news, man. I appreciate you letting me know." But he's all excited about it. And I'm thinking, and this is my cautionary across the bow shot from my friend Mr. Joe from Staten Island, our beloved friend Joe from Staten Island. And this guy is all excited about the friggin' rats and mice regrowing their hair, but yet he won't stop smoking. The doctor told me he's going to die if he smokes anymore. He's still smoking. He's still eating shit food.
Yeah, I mean,
he won't lose weight, but he's all excited about possibly regaining his hair. I'm thinking, you got to be alive to regrow your fucking hair.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I tell Joe that all the time. And the thing is, to me, everything you got to do everything in moderation. You are on one end of the spectrum, George, as far as taking care of yourself. I think I'm in the middle. I exercise. I like to go out and I swim, and I work out, and I do what I can in that respect. And I eat right, I'd say most of the week. But I will still go out. Like I went out with my buddy last week. I had 5 slices of pizza. I could have just ordered a small pie for myself. But I had 5 slices of pizza. The other night I had, on Friday, we went out in the afternoon. I had Mexican food and margaritas all afternoon. But then, I'll eat straight, really clean for like 4 or 5 days.
Look, blowing it out every now and then is okay. I mean, every now and then I go to a nice restaurant, my favorite seafood restaurant, and I'll get, in addition to the healthy food, avoid the fried stuff because it makes me physically sick.
Right.
But every now and then I'll get the chocolate creme brulee because it's something that's not
but
always
you
available.
never go out and just get absolutely obliterated, though, do you? You never go out and just get loaded.
Never.
Well, there you go. And you know
Never.
what? You may live a few extra years. You may live a little longer than me. But you know what? I had a good time. 888.
I'm just concerned
Let me
about
get the phone
protecting
number.
my brain.
888-659-3727. You know what? I'm concerned about my brain, too. I am definitely, when I was young, when I was like 21, 22, around the time before my depression hit from hair loss, I was extremely articulate. I would say that I lost probably about maybe 10% of my vocabulary. It's still there. But the words
It's
just
in there somewhere.
Yeah, the words just don't flow like they did before all this started to happen. And I attribute some of that to probably drinking and partying and, just getting older, whatever it is. I know that it's still there, and I know that if I really exercise my brain even more, I can probably, get it out again. But, I'm like, I want to enjoy life a little bit. I want to go out and have a steak dinner. I want to barbecue. I want to have a couple of glasses of wine. I want to hang out with, the young folk and maybe do a couple of shots once in a while. I don't want to live. I don't want to live in a bubble.
No, I can fully understand that, and I'm not endorsing the bubble thing. It's just that I've seen too many people indulge in the wine, women, and song, without in that lifestyle, without looking for the future, because a lot of them have this attitude that, hey, I'm not going to live that long anyway, so I might as well enjoy it now. Then they end up living a long time, and they're old, sick, decrepit, and suffering. And I see it all the time, and I do not want to go there.
Well, I also, I think maybe there's a little vanity involved for me too, and that's why I will exercise, because I don't want to get, I have gotten heavy for me, but I've never gotten really, really fat. But, I don't like the way I look when I'm bloated and I'm, 20 pounds overweight. And so a lot of it has to do with feeling comfortable in my own skin. And in order to do that, at this age, you have to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
So, all right, dude,
Without
listen,
a doubt.
we're going to take another phone call. If you want to hold on, I'll put you on hold.
I'm going to have to reinsert my little listening device, and unfortunately, that always makes the phone die.
So call back.
And so I'll have to call back in, and I'm sure at some point I'll come back up as you take callers, I'll come back up again. And I apologize for that. When I come back up, you can just put me back on.
I'll just hang up on you.
Okay.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. Ben. All right. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer. How are you?
Holy cow! Blast from the past. You have such a recognizable voice, dude. What's happening, Ben?
I remember I used to call in and try and disguise my voice. I could never get by you.
There are people that have said that you sound a little like Alf.
Is that person a hair loss sufferer that was butchered by a?
No, that was our former sidekick,
I talked
Dave.
to him not too long ago.
Who?
Oh, actually, no, it was Steve.
Oh, Steve. That's right, Steve. Steve Grillo said you sounded like Alf. That's very funny.
Yeah.
So what's happening, bro? How are you?
So, all this stuff. No, as being a rock fan and all, like recently, now it's getting to be where a lot of these rock stars, unfortunately, are passing away. And last week, unfortunately, one of the drummers, another one actually, passed away, and he was actually one of the original poster childs for hair loss. If you remember, the guy's name was Michael Hossack.
From the Doobie Brothers?
Yes, remember they'd have the infomercials for
the
hair loss? He was on and he passed away, and there was no mention of that at all.
Wow.
And I was wondering,
Well, you know what? That's sad, and I didn't even know that. So, I mean, maybe we can do a little memorial for him. I know that he did. I'm not even going to mention the name of the company because it's a company that I don't really admire. Let's put it that way. But he was on infomercials. I think he's still on their website. He was on infomercials in New York in the mid to late 90s every night.
And the guy from Grizzly Adams, I think, was. As a matter of fact, I think we were hanging out one night, and I remember, I guess we were at the bar, the usual crowd we used to hang out with. They go home, and I'm like, wow, I didn't have the sound on the TV. Wow, what's this great talk show? They got Dan Haggerty from Grizzly Adams,
the usual crowd of degenerates that we hung out with.
Yeah, and it turns out it's a hair loss infomercial. And then I thought about it. This is the second time the guy a couple of years ago was in this group called the Brooklyn Bridge. His name was Johnny Maestro.
Johnny Maestro and the Brooklyn Bridge. Sure, yeah, he was another guy.
He was another one, and these people pass away, and they don't, it's kind of
well, because they're kind of like I mean, there was a time when Dan Haggerty was just well known because he was on television all the time, but then he kind of lost that cachet. And there was a time when obviously the Doobie Brothers were huge, but they're not like A-list celebrities. You know, the guys that are coming out and doing the hair transplant infomercials. So when they pass away, unfortunately, while there is news of it, which is, you know, it's great. It's more than just an obituary. It's not something that everyone knows about. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's just pointing it out that, you know, these people, you know, it's pretty brave to go on these shows and do all that stuff. And
well, I think it's awesome that they did it, and I think what it did do is it showed that, you know what, there's nothing wrong with this. I'm losing my hair. I'm comfortable enough to say, you know what, I don't want to be a bald guy, and I'm going to have something done now. In my view, I mean, they were promoting a company that, you know, I probably wouldn't promote. However, with that said, I think it probably did a lot for a lot of people, at least to get it out there that, you know what, this is possible. I got my hair back. Hair transplantation works, and so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's you know, and speaking of all kinds of that, I was walking down the street. This is a couple of months ago, and remember there's that nightclub across the street where I used to live?
Voodoo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was an arrest outside. I guess this woman got a little overzealous in her partying, and they needed like 6 cops to restrain her, and she was being very confrontational physically, and, you know, yelling all kinds of, and she was hard to keep her down, and one of them went to grab her by the shoulder.
They took her weave off, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome, dude. That is awesome. Sad, but awesome. You know.
Yeah, well, she didn't seem to be bothered by it. She was more into the fight than, like, you know. But it wasn't pretty, you know.
Well, I think it may probably, you know, with that particular club, it may not have even been a weave. It could have just been a full blown wig that just kind of slipped off.
Yeah, it actually kind of was. Yeah.
A lot of sisters just rock the wigs, man. It's like it's part of the African American culture. Weaves, absolutely, but a lot of sisters would just go out and rock the wig and just, like, you know, they'll just put it on, take it off. There's no issue with it. It's not like the, you know, Caucasian women.
Or the Caucasian guy.
Or the, well, yeah, well, not too many brothers are going to rock the wig, though. You know, a couple of newscasters who I'm not going to mention, they're rocking the wigs.
Most of them, all of them, a lot of them, I don't know.
A lot of the, you know, several of the brother newscasters are rocking the wigs. You can always tell by the side, like, you know, the sides basically are recessed all the way back to their ear, and they kind of look like they have a afro hair hat on.
Right.
It's pretty common. So what's happening with you, man?
I've seen some, you know, when they do the local news shows, like, you know, not the network ones in, like, the small towns.
Oh yeah, like in suburbs of Detroit, places like that.
Suburbs of anywhere, and it looks like they bought their hair on eBay or something, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know.
Well, I think it's great that I think, you know, and Tracy in the chat room said there's nothing wrong with wearing hair if you feel comfortable in it. I think it's great. A lot of women, if you go to womenshairlossproject.com, you'll see some really young, beautiful women that have chosen to wear hair, and they just look, they're getting on with their lives. These are women, young girls who are, you know, dealing with androgenetic alopecia, and they look great. They look incredible. You know, I think you just have to come to terms with it and say, okay, you know, especially if you're single, I have to somehow disclose this to my boyfriend and see how they deal with it.
You know, in this year that it's 2012, we're coming into an election year, and is there any hope for this to be addressed by any kind of health coverage in the future?
It's pretty unlikely, I will tell you that. But I think, you know, I mean, you can lobby, dude. Get out there. Oh. But listen, man, everything else all right? You doing all right?
You know, new year, new band, new girlfriend. What can I say?
Mazel, man. We have to talk more, man. I'm sorry that I haven't been in touch, but when I come to New York, I'll definitely give you a call.
Yeah, do you get in town much anymore?
I'm going to try to get in town around my birthday. So.
Okay.
You know when that is. All right, bro. I'm going to take a phone call. Thanks a lot for the call. Great hearing from you.
Talk to you later, Spencer.
All right, take care.
Bye.
888-659-3727. Hey, you're on the air.
Andrew Zarian wears a wig.
Who's this, man? Steve?
No, it's Coco. What's up?
Oh, Coco. You sound like Steve Grillo a little bit. So, I mean, a lot of people ask me that, if Andrew Zarian is wearing a wig. Now, I've met him, and I would know if he was wearing, at least I think, that's his hair, and I want everyone to know that's his hair. So don't start spreading rumors, dude.
No, that's his hair. I mean, you could see it. I mean, I don't see a net under there or anything, so I'm pretty sure it's all him.
Well, when I do get him a piece, you're not going to see a net either, because I know Andrew's not going to be happy with a hair transplant, because he's going to have that crazy mop of hair that he has right now. So if he does lose his hair, he's going to have to get like a real nice custom piece.
No, I hear you. I mean, I like me personally. I mean, we've said it many times, but like, I think I would just go like with the bald head if that were the case.
But you've done it. You've lived your life that way, and you look good that way.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're one of those guys that can just pull it off.
Right. I mean, but there's a part of me that wishes I wasn't going bald on the top, but if it happens, it happens. I'm not letting it take over my whole life.
Well, that's the best attitude to have. The guys that I deal with, Coco. The guys that I deal with, the psychology that I deal with in my work are the guys that cannot deal with going bald. I'm one of them.
Right.
I'm one of those guys, so that's why I do what I do. You're the guys that I kind of wish that I can be. I wish I can just say, you know what, F it. And, I wouldn't be dealing with this. But so consider yourself lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to grow it out as long as I can, for as long as I can. And when it starts, feeling like it looks ridiculous, then that's when it'll come off. Because, I work with a guy who, when I first met him, he had, the really short shaved hair. And, I met up with him again at a different headquarters. I'm like, damn, you're growing your hair out, man. He's like, yeah, man, I'm going bald in the back. He's like, I'm going to grow it out as long as I can, for as long as I can, and then when it starts looking weird, I'm just going to shave it.
That's the way to go, man. That's the way to go. Yeah. It's so much easier not having to deal with medication, not having to worry about potential side effects, not having to worry about rubbing lotions and potions, not having to worry about having surgery, or not having to worry about gluing something on your head. I mean, there's a certain freedom to just saying, you know what, screw it. This is what I have to deal with. And, that's a healthy attitude.
Yeah, I mean, while there is a freedom to it, it's also a pain in the ass sometimes, always having to get that maintenance, because every 3 or 4 days you got to do it again before it gets too long to have to buzz it down again before you pick it,
Yeah.
But like you said, having to go back and forth and having to get treatments, that could also become quite costly if I'm,
Well, there's a lot of, the cost is one thing, and it definitely could be costly depending on what you have done. But, even if you're not factoring in the money, the emotional expense, just the time and the burden and the emotional toll that it takes on someone just hoping to save their hair. And then if it doesn't work, so many guys that take medication, it has marginal effects. And then there are guys that it really works really well. So you just don't know. It's a crapshoot. At least if you decide, you know what, I'm just going to shave my head or cut it really short and let nature take its course, you know what's going to happen. So there's no anxiety involved.
Right. And it's at this point, I feel like it's not, terrible enough that if I grow it to a certain length, it can be covered to an extent. You can still see it, but it doesn't look as bad as it is, and it's not even really.
Well, when you go out to the clubs, when you go into the Sapphires, I'll send you some head paint. No one will know. It looks great.
No, well, if anybody saw me there the last time I was there, they'll know. They'll be like, yeah, well, his hair looks different.
No, they're just going to be like, what happened? Did he lose weight? He looks different. People don't know shit. People don't notice anything, man. Believe me.
Well, like I said, it's before, about a month ago, I went to a wedding, and I was telling some of the guys, because my hair's growing out a little bit now, but my hair was a little short. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm thinking of just shaving it again, so you can't really tell this bald spot. They're like, dude, it doesn't look that bad. Just go as yourself. What are you worried about? And I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna go the way I am, and if nobody likes it, that's not my problem. My problem is whether or not I like it.
Well, yeah, you have to feel comfortable in your own skin. And look, I say this, I'm going to repeat myself. You're a guy that can deal with it. You know, you've dealt with other issues your whole life that you talk about on the show. That, you know, at this is nothing. You know what I mean? You've dealt with so much bullshit, and you've overcome all that. This is really nothing for you. And you've also shaved your head at points in your life when you had a full head of hair.
Right.
So you were able to just deal with it. So I think you're lucky, man. I really do. Listen, Coco, I'm going to take some calls, man. But I always appreciate you hanging out and watching and giving us a call.
No problem. Enjoy the rest of the show. I mean, I'll be in the chat room for a little while longer, and you know. Awesome, man. We got Fridays. So.
I appreciate it. Yeah. All right, Coco. Thanks a lot. Coco Butter from the Andrews Arian Show and Friday Free for All. I do a show with these guys on Fridays, and Coco's money, man. Coco is money. That's all I have to say. Let's get back to Joe, and then I'm going to take a break. Hey, Joe, what's going on in the chat room?
Well, unfortunately, Spencer, a lot of people in the chat room are castigating you for not elaborating on a major discovery of this week. They're demanding that you get into it more.
What do they want me to talk about? Ask me some questions. What do these guys want me to talk about?
Well, like Reese, he wants your opinion on it, when you feel it will be out. I'm trying to explain to these guys the medications now exist during phase 3 trials.
Right. There are medications that will help to inhibit this particular protein, and but I don't know what the side effects of these medications are going to be. I don't know if in fact it's really going to reverse the balding process. As you said, the medications aren't. The application is not been set for male pattern baldness, so I don't know. I think it's a great finding. It's a great finding, guys. And maybe in a year, you guys will have something else that you guys can talk about on Bald Truth Talk and on every place else. There will be guys who are experimenting with these drugs once they're on the market. And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Let me elaborate on this. Once these drugs are FDA approved by Merck, receives approval, and Action Corporation, either people will be getting prescriptions from their doctors, off-label, or certain so-called physicians will be getting these pills and making up their own solutions. That's my expert opinion on the situation.
Well, I know that's going to happen. And then there's going to be guys that are going to be making up these topical preparations of these ground up pills, and they're going to be selling them. These dermatologists and some hair loss specialists, some guys who are actually in the hair loss business. But I would say the more fringe guys are going to start with it, and that's the way that it usually works. So we'll see.
We know the usual suspects. We don't have to name names, do we?
No, we don't have to name names, but we will see. It's exciting news. I have been privy to this for a while, and that's what I told you on Friday, Joe. It is what it is. I don't want to get overly excited. Well, you have to understand that, look at what happened when Angela Cristiano found the hairless gene back in 1997, right before my book was published. I was able to get an interview with her, and the world was so excited. She was on every goddamn talk show.
Including yours.
Including mine. And
I spoke with her.
Yeah, and, it's great. It's, we're getting closer to everything. But we're still, at this point, dealing with finasteride and minoxidil. PRP, I think, has some relative success. There are a lot of people who believe that it's really slowing or stopping the progression of their hair loss. They're getting good results. We have a handful of guys doing great hair transplants, and right now that's what we have. So I don't want to get people overly excited, man. We're waiting for the news to hear what's happening with Replacel in April. That's exciting stuff. I know Adirans is, they're working hard. Costeralis is working hard. Histogen, they're in the game. But it's not here yet, guys. I have nothing to tell you. I wish I did.
Yeah, but the people, they won't accept that.
Everyone wants you to, that's the interesting thing about the forums. And I guess that's what makes the forums, so busy is there's so much speculation. Everyone's an expert. Everyone knows what's coming down the pike. Everyone's speculating on price and on effectiveness and all that shit. And no one knows jack shit.
That you hit it right. You hit the nail right in the bud. I must give you the Academy Award for that statement you just made, Spencer.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate that, and I'll accept the award in your honor. I have to take a break. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. That's 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You are listening to and watching The Bald Truth, self-help radio for guys. We'll be right back after this brief message. Stay with us.
The man who's helping to make hair loss history.
They wish to cure us, but I say we are the cure.
It's Spencer David Kobren.
What time does the show come on? 9 where? Well, what's the name of the show? And what's the name of him? Okay. Well, turn it on then. Jesus. Okay. All right, is it recording? Okay. Hey there, this is Gary Coleman. I don't have any idea what this is about, but you're watching... What? No, not watching. Let me do that again. Take 2. Hey, this is Gary Coleman. I have no idea what this is about, and I think people just need to learn to respect themselves and other people respect who's bald. You're listening to The Bald Truth. That's 2. All right, fine, but this is it. Otherwise, he's going to have to go in his wallet. All right, here you go. Take 3. Ready? This is Gary Coleman, and you're listening to Spencer Coburn on The Bald Truth.
You kind of have an effect on people, you know. You bring them around.
Hey guys, welcome back. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Yes, Gary Coleman is dead. God rest his soul. But I was lucky enough to have Gary Coleman in the studio on The Bald Truth several years ago when I was doing the show out of Westwood One Radio. And he did the greatest ID in the world. Now, most normal people would have just cut that ID, you know, without all the, stuff that's not supposed to be put on the air, like the fact that he really didn't know who the F I was. Can't pronounce my name, and that he was getting a little perturbed that I was asking him to do several takes. But I thought that was funny. So when we had it produced, I told him to leave that crap in there. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. I don't know. This could be George. I don't know. This guy's been holding on for a long time. It probably is. I could take another call, but I'm going to take a guess. Let me see. Hey, who's this? You're on the air. Hey, who's this? You're on the air.
Hey, Spence, it's me again.
It is George. And you sound like you're in a Lowe's or something.
I'm in a restaurant, my favorite seafood restaurant, about to have some striped bass, scalloped shrimp, and mango chutney or salsa or something. So. Yeah, man, I'm about to have some killer food. So, Joe said people are all freaked out in the chat room because you're not talking enough about the new breakthroughs, huh?
Yeah. What are you going to do? I don't know.
Well, you can't keep them happy. You know, I don't know what they expect you to do. They expect you to have some news that's going to make everyone turn cartwheels every Sunday, and that's a little too much pressure on you.
Well, I also feel irresponsible. You know, I could talk about some of the drugs that are, you know, coming down the pike. These, you know, prostaglandin analog drugs, like, you know, the one that Merck is putting out. It's going through phase 3. I don't know if it's going to benefit anybody. I don't want people to get their hands on this stuff and start crushing it up and, you know, hoping for the best. So, I mean, I know that there's a lot of talk out there online, but I have to be as responsible as possible. I can't just continue to perpetuate the speculation without, pulling back the reins on the reins a little bit and saying, you know, wait, this is great news, but let's see what happens.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we're all, you know, chomping at the bit, waiting with bated breath, and just on the edge for this thing to break. So I was talking with my dad about it last night. I said, you know, it seems like there's all these developments hitting all around, and that we're right on the verge of having some massive breakthrough with this. And I told my dad, Bill Gates, last I heard, is what, he's given away some of his money through his foundation, but he's still worth like 50-something billion dollars, right?
Right, yeah.
And I told my dad, I said, whoever breaks this thing, instant multi-billionaire, probably even as much. I mean, do you think that whoever breaks this could become instantly richer than Bill Gates?
It's not going to be instant. Well, it depends. It depends. If it's broken, if it's through a pharmaceutical company, then the pharmaceutical company is going to make a tremendous amount of money. But if it's a smaller company that maybe eventually sells, the breakthrough to a pharmaceutical company, I mean, yes. I mean, I think there's a good chance that they will be as rich, if not more wealthy, than Bill Gates. So. Who knows?
Absolutely. Well, I just that thought has crossed my mind a number of times, and I thought, I wonder what, because you see these people at Google. I mean, not Google it, it's Facebook and all that, and some of these Google people becoming instant multimillionaires, and I'm thinking, whoever cracks this could become an instant billionaire.
Oh, look, if you just develop a decent website, it doesn't even have to be a Google. If you just a decent website that provides a need and a service to a decent amount of people, then you become an instant millionaire. That's even if you're only charging a couple of bucks to be part of the service. That's the way the net works. So I mean, there's just so many opportunities for people, but this is different. This is going to change the world because so many people are going to produce. When they might not have been productive if they weren't able to deal with their hair loss. So many people are just so much is going to change once a real cure comes to the plate.
Absolutely.
All right, dude. I'll put you on hold. Absolutely. All right, Joe. Let's get back. I know they were talking to you in the chat room, so I'll let you do your thing. Then I'll take another call.
No, Spencer, I wasn't. I'm gonna have to castigate George. I wasn't criticizing you at all for not discussing it any further.
I don't think. You got to take it light, dude. I don't think he really thinks you're, really criticizing me.
I would never dare criticize you.
Well, you certainly have the right to criticize me, Joe. I mean, I wouldn't. Dude, I hate.
You're a god to me. You're a god to me, man. I don't criticize my Lord, man.
That's why I drink. This show makes me drink. I appreciate that, Joe. I really do. But I mean, I don't know everything, and you know what? I have been wrong in my life.
Really?
Absolutely.
I can't,
everybody. Even the great Spencer Kobren has made mistakes. Can you believe that shit?
Well, I've only made one mistake in my life, being born.
Oh, Jesus, Joe. God, I want you to get some help. I want you to be helped.
No. Well, I have plenty of help, man. I go to find a psychiatrist. I'm on to find his drugs. Here I am, still laying in bed in the nude, doing the bold truth.
And then again, that's a really disturbing picture. It makes me want to hang up on you.
That's it, please.
Put some pants on, dude.
I get very sweaty while doing the show because people in the chat room get me really, really nervous.
And but what happens when your kid walks in? Are you under the covers at least?
No, my door is locked. It bolted. I had a bolt installed a few weeks ago by a locksmith because people used to come into my room all the time. So I have it more secured now, so no one comes into my room.
The whole thing is just nuts, man. All right, so I saw that Tracy asked you. I don't know if you answered. And again, I don't. You can tell them what drugs are going to be out there, but people want to know what some of the prostaglandin analogs and the anti-prostaglandin drugs are going to be. Maybe you can give them a little insight.
Well, we mentioned them. Did you want to mention them again?
Yes.
Did you mention them?
Mention them again.
Yeah. Well. First of all, allergens. I think it has some type of prostaglandin. I'm not too sure. Their T somehow acts on the prostaglandin. I'm not too sure exactly.
All these ophthalmolic drugs are connected to prostaglandin analogs. So so that Latisse is one of them. What is that drug?
I have the other two. Which I would like me to
Merck's drug is tofloprost, I think it's called.
No, you're wrong, Spencer.
Tofloprost. I'll look it up right now. There's a drug that Merck is coming out with called Tofloprost. It's an ophthalmic
No,
drug.
because an L, Laproprost.
Tafuprost. Tofloprost. I know I'm not losing it completely, dude.
Well, that must be another one, but I guess when I've seen an L, I guess I could be
Merck's
wrong.
investigational prostaglandin analog ophthalmic medication, Tofloprost, meets primary endpoint in phase 3 study. And this is May 1st, 2001.
Well, what do your records show on the one by Actelion? My records show it's Cetaparent, S-E-T.
I don't have the. I don't. That sounds right. I don't have it in front of me. I just looked this up, and I don't feel like. It's actually hard for me to type on this thing. The mic is kind of in the way. It's a whole pain in the ass, man. So I looked it up because I didn't want. I think I'm losing my mind. I'm forgetting shit. I'm getting old, guys.
Well, maybe a brain fog due to you ingesting Propecia.
No, I
was just making that was just a joke.
I know.
Well,
that's what everyone's going to think. Oh, he's been on Propecia. He's been on Propecia for 17 years. He's got to be an idiot by now.
I shouldn't have said that. I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to make people laugh instead of crying. You know what I'm saying?
I'm almost 50. I'm almost 50, guys. I'm sorry. Like in The Godfather, I'm starting to enjoy wine a little bit, even more than I used to, as I'm getting older. Well, Tracy, you're right. 46 is not old, and I'm sure you are a hot 46-year-old. And it's funny. I talk about younger women all the time. I'm kind of joking around with all you guys, like with George, because I don't think George would go out with a girl his age, a woman his age. If my common-law wife died or left me at some point, I would. I wouldn't mind. I would date somebody my age if they were, well preserved. I really would. What do you think about that, Joe?
Well, I have to disagree with you. I think a man as handsome and as famous and as youthful as you should date someone much, much younger than yourself, probably someone in their mid-20s.
I might be able to date. I may be able to date somebody in their mid-20s, but I don't know if I'd want to at this point. I don't think I would go below 30 at this point in my life.
So you'll be 47 now, but I won't say when. In a couple of months. I know the exact day. I won't say it on the air, but you'll be 47. So
I will be 47.
First time I met you. Excuse me?
I will be 47. Yes.
I won't say when. I won't. That's confidential information. But the first time I met you, you were 33. Does that make you feel a little bit older?
I don't feel old. I don't really give a shit about age. I really don't. I feel very fortunate that I've saved so much hair. I feel like whatever. I have every wrinkle in my face is a character line, man. I've lived a very interesting life, and not an easy life. Like some of you schmucks think out there that this guy he's been on the radio for many years, and he does his internet thing, and he's an author and all that stuff. His life must be so easy. Let me tell you something. I work hard, and my life has not been easy. I've been through a lot of tragedy in my life, and
yes, most recently your brother. It'll be 6 years, June 17th. Am I correct?
Yes, it will. Suncast, I just want to put it out there that it was around 1:11 where I made the slip, so you're going to need to edit that out. Go ahead. Sorry, Joe. No, but a lot of people think, you got to read the crap that's written about me on the internet. I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane, and I don't mind getting older. I don't mind gray hair. I don't mind a gray beard. If I don't want the beard, I'll shave it. I'm not going to dye it. I don't want to look like a magician. You ever see these guys that dye their beard? It looks ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I know a lot of guys that do that. And I'm like, dude, I don't care what you. I mean, because first of all, you got to dye it every day because your beard grows very, very quickly. And secondly, it never looks natural. It never looks. I mean, you look like one of those creepy magicians.
Well, you could easily divorce your goatee from your face by shaving it.
I can, and that's kind of like the ace in the hole. If I want to take off about 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years, I just shave.
And if you colored your hair, you'd probably take off at least 5 years.
You know what? I don't want to color my hair. I don't want to color my hair. Actually, you know, in person, I look more gray than I do on the air. But the gray in my hair gives it less of a crusty look than when it was brown because of the hairspray. So, I mean, when you lose pigment in your hair, it actually gets a coarser appearance anyway. So it kind of works with the hairspray. When I was younger and I had to, you know, use a pile of hairspray, you know, a whole can, it didn't look right. I'm not saying it looks great now, but I mean, it looks better that it has gray in it. And I'm proud of that, man. I'm proud of the gray hair. I've earned it, dude.
Is your wife, I won't mention her name, but does she like it?
She says she does, but you know, I mean, listen. When she met me, I had gray hair. Basically, I was prematurely gray. I was already getting gray at the age of 34. Actually, probably about 32. When you first met me, I probably had some gray in my hair.
Well, I first met you, you were 33 years old. I really didn't notice that. When I was dissecting your hair, you probably were aware of, I didn't notice any gray hair. Maybe because the restaurant was very dark.
Yeah, but it was there. It was there. Not as much, but it was there. I had no gray in my beard.
Your goatee, you definitely did not have any gray in your goatee. Excuse me, whatsoever. I'm gonna have to castigate Johnny from Ohio, Tan, if you don't mind. You use a cuss word in the chat room I found very disturbing. Because an F and ends with a K.
All right. I also think it's fun that Billy says I have delicate-looking hands. I've actually have been told that I could be a hand model. I've gotten that. Like this is the only part of my body that doesn't seem to age, or the skin on my hands. And plus, I don't really have any hair on my arms either. So it's like people think I shave my arms, and I don't.
Do you have hair on your chest?
I have like 4 hairs on my chest.
Wow, how about your pubic region?
That's very true, Bald Jerry. Beautiful hands like George Costanza. That's exactly right. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not even joking. I have had people, especially women, they love my hands. I don't know what it is. They're hands to me. They just look like hands. Maybe because there's not a lot of hair on them. Who knows?
Well, you do have some effeminate characteristics. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, that's what you're wishing for, dude.
No, I don't mean a negative way. I mean you're a very handsome man, but you're handsome type of like a beautiful sort of way. You know, I mean, my wife commented on that. She said you're a very, very handsome man.
Well, that's very nice. But why does that make me effeminate?
No, I don't mean you're effeminate. If you were a woman, your facial features are so perfect, you would be a beautiful woman also.
Dude, I would be a hideous woman. Hideous. That's ridiculous. Really? I appreciate that, but I would be a hideous woman.
As you a woman, I find you attractive, man.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I appreciate I appreciate that, dude. Let me give out the phone number. Let's take some calls. 888-659. No, 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727.
Thank you.
Give us a call at the Bald Truth if you have any questions, concerns about your hair loss. We are here to answer your question. No, Joe, I appreciate it. I really do.
You made me laugh today. I've been crying all day. You made me laugh for the first time. Thank you. I appreciate it, my friend.
No. Oh, come on, dude. Don't. You're laughing, now you're crying.
Yeah, because I'm not used to laughing.
You should laugh, dude.
I never laugh, man. All I do is cry.
Why don't you? You should watch GFQ Network every night. They got great programming. You know what? You should watch GFQ on Thursdays in the afternoon. You should watch a Tim Dillon show. Funny guy, and he's a homosexual. So you love this dude, man.
Oh, wow. Does Andrew feature any transsexuals?
No, but he features Tim Dillon, who is a comedian and a homosexual, and a really funny dude. Really, I like him. I mean, I like him a lot. I really do. He's a really cool guy.
Well, like my new friend Mr. Wiggles on the GFQ, who I like a lot too. But it turned me down, as you know. I was not even interested because I'm not gay, but he tried to insinuate that I am. So
It's so funny. There's a kid in the chat room, dude. Go to thebaldtruth.com and watch live. You could actually join the chat. There's really nothing happening on the Stickcam chat, but I'm glad you're joining us and putting your camera on, dude. You know what, Joe? I'll put you on hold. I'm going to take a phone call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey.
Hey, who's this? Nate?
Oh, yeah, what's up?
See, I recognize all your asses, man. What's happening?
Not much. What's happening?
Nothing, man. Doing a little show here, bro.
Oh, yeah?
What's going on with you? 16-year-old kid that watches the Bald Show. I don't even understand it, honestly, but I appreciate it.
Hey, it's cheap entertainment, right?
That's what they say, man. That's what they say. So what's going on with you? How's life?
I'm not gonna lie, not bad.
Well, that's good. What's not bad about your life? What's going on?
I've been just really happy lately in a positive mood. Getting down to stuff. So, it's
How's school? What grade are you in?
I'm in 11th grade.
You're in 11th grade. So let's see. 11th grade. Are you you're either in algebra 2 and trigonometry or pre-calculus at this point? What's your math level? Where are you at?
Pre-cal.
Pre-cal. Good for you, man.
Thanks, man. I got my report card about 2 days ago, and it was actually on Friday, and I got A's and B's, so I'm happy.
Good for you, man. That's great. That's great. I was a terrible student, but good for you.
Yeah, but look at how successful you are now.
Yeah, that's what I tell my headmaster. I went to my 25th high school reunion, and the old headmaster was there. And these guys now they're all kissing your ass. But I remember sitting in his office, and he's telling me, you know what, college isn't for everybody, Spencer. I never forget that. And now all of a sudden, he wants me to donate to the school. Cheers to that. Anyway. Well, Nate, listen, man, I'm glad that you're doing well. How is your DJing business going?
Very good. I have 4 clubs that I'm advertising for on a daily basis, so that's very nice.
Now, what do you mean you're advertising for them?
I'm basically doing their advertising, like their radio ads and all that. Like I write the ads, and then, they basically give me a piece of paper. This is what they want, and I basically voice over it.
Oh, that's really cool. Wow, you're 16 years old. You're doing voiceovers. That's awesome, man. Well, you're on your way, man. You're a young entrepreneur that, God, you started calling the show when you were 14 years old. I think that's great. I'm proud of you, man.
Hard to believe that it's been 2 years.
I can't believe it either. Look how far the video has come in 2 years. Can you believe this shit?
Yeah, honestly, it looks great.
Well, you know what? We can thank the GFQ Network, guys from Queens, Andrew Zarian for telling me what I needed to do, and also building my computer for this. He built my rig for the show.
I tell you what, man, Andrew's a smart cookie.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. He's a smart guy. He's not not like everybody says. He's a smart guy.
Yes, he's a very intelligent person, and I'm not going to lie, I think he's going to make it big with his radio show. I think he's got a great thing going for him and all of his advertisers. And
I can guarantee you that he's going to be huge. Absolutely. I know. I already know what's happening, and and him and I are working together on certain things, and he's gonna be extremely successful, and he's only 27 years old.
I could just see Andrew doing a night show on CNBC or something like that.
Well, that's pretty cool. I told him to remove the gold chain, so maybe he could, and he probably has to stop slicking his hair back like Michael Corleone, from The Godfather.
Right.
Because it's a little greaseball at this point, but I think that if he kind of gets rid of that and maybe gets rid of the goatee, because it's not gonna work for the news or for a late night show.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm digging his goatee.
No, I like it. I'm a goatee guy, but I don't know how well it's going to work for certain mainstream shows. You know,
Right.
It's a little magician-like.
I guess you could say that.
You know, look, dude, the kid's a great-looking kid, and he looks even better in person. So he's gonna have a big career, man.
Well, you know, I mean, kid's had a great opportunity. So.
Well, listen, Nate, I'm gonna let you go. Thanks for the call. Do you have a girlfriend at least? You say you have a girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you, man. Is it serious?
It's hard to tell. I mean,
hard to tell on your end or hard to tell on her end?
It's hard to tell on, well, both. I mean, it's only 3 months in the relationship, and it's, you know.
Well, let me give you some advice. Take it slow. Always, always wear protection. Do not get her pregnant, dude. Whatever you do. I know you're like in the Pittsburgh area. A lot of young chicks, you know, your age getting pregnant. Do not do it.
Well, I see there's a couple of people in the chat saying that they're 21 and they're balding, so hopefully they call in and discuss this little conversation because I would like to hear it. So.
All right, bro. Listen, thanks for the call. Good luck.
Yep.
888-659-3727. I have to take a quick break, and then when I come back, I will take your phone calls. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. This is The Bald Truth. And we will be right back after this brief break. Stay with us.
Hey, the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar. And Michael Anthony. You're listening to the baldest on the planet, Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth. Woo!
Welcome back, guys. Didn't turn my mic on. I want to thank the Insinuators. The guy that called in earlier, Ben, actually... that was his old band, and they wrote that song for The Bald Truth, and they performed it, and I want to thank them for that. And for the guy in the chat room said it was corny. You know what? Deal with it. I think it's a great song. They put a great effort into it, and I really appreciate it. 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer. This is Nathan from Phoenix, Arizona.
Nathan, how are you, man?
On Facebook.
Yeah.
Good. How are you?
I'm so glad you called. What's happening, bro?
Nothing. Actually, just since I'm kind of behind on what the topic was.
Well, the topic is hair loss, dude. The topic is always hair loss, so you never lost.
I just didn't want to. I didn't know if I was interrupting anything.
No. What's up?
Nothing. Well, I just got into town from Phoenix, Arizona. I live up in Flagstaff. I go to school up here at NAU. And, yeah, I'm just calling in to maybe ask you a few questions and see what you think about it.
Absolutely, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, first off, I'm 22 years old, so I'm a younger person who's losing their hair.
Well, I mean, it's more common than you realize. I'm sure you know that, you know, you probably have some contemporaries that you realize are losing their hair. And I was a guy that started to lose his hair at 21, so it's not unusual. So I wouldn't worry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, it's getting a little more noticeable because I naturally have kind of thin hair, so I don't have, you know, thick hair. So as I lose it, it's a lot more obvious. And I've been using I've been on Propecia for about a year and a half now, and I also use Dermax a lot, you know, to cover it up, make my hair look thicker.
You know what's interesting? You contacted me through Facebook, and you said that you tried to join the forum, and you weren't approved yet, and we approved you, and I kind of read your story, and I took the time to look at your profile, and I got to tell you, dude, I mean, I know you're young. It looks like you have a great life. It looks like you have a hot girlfriend. It looks like you are, you know, it seems, at least on the outside, that you're dealing with this in a very healthy way. So tell me your story and let me know what's going on.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I'm doing my best with it. You know, I don't really talk to too many people about it. One of my good friends, I'll say his name, Sam. He's kind of going through the same type of thing. So we'll talk about it here and there. Nothing too serious. He's not on Propecia. I was going to mention that to him pretty soon because he actually just came to me about it. I noticed, but I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
And then we were in Vegas, actually, for spring break just this last week, and he was kind of like it got brought up about his hair when he was looking in the mirror, and I was, we talked about how when we get in the shower, we're just so stressed out, seeing the hair just shedding, and it was just stressful.
Dude, it sucks, man. It's very stressful. It's you know, you're in panic mode and you don't know where it's going to go, and it's hard to talk about it with anybody because you kind of appear to be more vulnerable. People are like, "Yeah, what's the big deal? It's hair loss," and they don't really understand that it's right now you look a certain way. They don't realize that it's progressive, and that eventually, if you don't treat it, you're not going to look this way. You're not going to look as good as you're looking right now, and that's what you're worried about.
Exactly.
So tell me,
I think that's one of my biggest fears is that I'm kind of hiding it, and I know it's coming, and it's really to the point where it's hard for me to style my hair. I almost can't style it. I wear a cap most of the time now, and this just happened. I would say about this past 6 months, I haven't been able to really style my hair anymore because I don't have enough hair in the front to.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, so you have a girlfriend, right? I mean, she seems like she's a great-looking girl. You're a good-looking kid, and does she know what you're dealing with? Did she talk about? Do you talk about it with her at all?
She doesn't really. No, she does. I think she knows, but she doesn't say anything.
Well,
so
I mean, did you ever think about?
She can tell.
Did you ever think about bringing it up to her and saying, this is something that I'm dealing with. I'm not happy about it, but I'm doing my best to deal with it, and what her thoughts are about it.
I don't think I'm completely ready for that yet, just because we haven't been dating too long. I'm still young. I'm still in college, and I just think it's a little too soon right now. I don't think I'm ready for it yet.
All right,
but
so
I do plan on it in the future.
So let's talk about your treatment. You said that you started to use Propecia. You're doing fine, and again, I read your email to me in brief, so I may get this wrong, but you said that you got on it. You were doing fine. Then you went online and started to read about the adverse side effects, and you freaked out.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember you mentioned that on your show the other day. How, okay, this is how I feel about it. When you read it, it just becomes mental. When I first got on it, I never heard of any side effects.
Right.
So when I first got on it, I was fine. There was no problems with anything. And then I started reading stuff. And then, when I went to go, this is about a year and a half ago. So this is before I started dating my girlfriend, and I was seeing other girls, and that's when, I just feel like I couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
Once I started reading it, but then I somehow just kind of got past it, and then got my confidence up, and just realized, it's just mental. That's how I feel it is. I feel like it's just a mental thing, and when you're losing your hair, obviously your confidence is gonna be down.
But that's a great point. The fact that you were able to you didn't realize there were side effects. You took this pill, you're fine. Then you started to read about it, and then you couldn't do it. And then you got past it, and you realized, okay, it must be mental for you. I can't even tell you how many guys out there, especially the young guys, are going through exactly what you went through. Now, with that said, I do believe there's a subset of individuals who are suffering with real side effects and potentially, persistent side effects. But the vast majority, in my view, in my opinion, and the fact that I've been doing this for almost 15 years, and the fact that I've been on the drug for 17 years, the vast majority of guys who take this drug do not experience any adverse sexual side effects. And what you read online now is it's almost everybody is claiming that they're dealing with this. And when I started doing this, I'm telling you, thousands of people wrote me, once when the book came out. Thousands. I mean, no exaggeration. And not one told me that they were experiencing any adverse side effects. It's only in the last few years that it seems to be really becoming a prominent theme on the internet. So my concern is there are guys like you, young guys, who are reading this, and they are becoming psychologically impotent because of their fears.
Absolutely. I think it kind of spreads like a virus. Somebody does experience that, and it's true for them, but it's not true for everybody. But when they read it, it's a mental thing, is what I believe, and I think it spreads like a virus. Everyone just feels as if they just can't do it anymore because of
Well, you know that in your,
what other people are
at least in your experience, that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So right now you're fine. Okay. So do you think Propecia is helping you at all?
I think Propecia, I'm not sure. I'm still losing hair. I still see, I'm studying for classes, and I'll wiggle my hands through my hair, and just I can count 40, 50 hairs, laying on my papers, after studying for 5 or 6 hours. So
all right. Well,
I'm definitely still losing hair.
That's significant. I'm not going to lie. That's a decent amount of hair to lose, just by putting your hands through your hair. Have you talked to your doctor about? And again, a lot of guys are going to be like, "Oh my God, you're telling them to take more of this drug." I'm not a doctor, but there are guys that actually do better on a slightly higher dosage of finasteride. You've been on it for what, a year and a half? You said.
Yeah.
I mean, do you?
And that's what I was going to talk to my doctor about next, maybe. And that's what I was going to ask you about. Should I ask, what's the proper thing to go up? Do I double it to? Because I'm taking the 1/5 of the pill, the finasteride, and
now, are you taking generic finasteride, or are you taking Proscar?
I'm taking the generic version, I believe. It's the generic.
Now, where are you getting it from?
I'm getting it through. Actually, the crazy part is I was getting it through a doctor, but it was costing me a lot of money because I don't have insurance.
Right.
So my dad wasn't taking it, and he got on it through his insurance.
Well, that's cool.
So which is really cool of him to do that for me, because I've been talking to my dad about it a lot, and at first he was like, you're crazy and you're not losing anything. And now I actually showed him your show last night when I was in town, and he loves you. He was like, I see where you're coming from. He sees it in a whole different way now.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad that you can talk to your dad about it.
Yeah.
And when I say that's cool, I can't advocate insurance fraud or anything like that, but I understand that it's a great thing that your dad is willing to help you out. As far as I'm concerned, there are guys who have been on the drug they start, and maybe the first year and a half, they're not seeing the results they think they should see. And then, like the guy that called in, my buddy Ben from New York, he was a guy that it took over almost 2 years for him to see results. And then he's been on it for many, many years, and he saved most of his hair. So it's possible that you would be a lot worse off if you weren't taking the drug than if you're taking it. But you could talk to your doctor. I mean, if you're comfortable with upping the dosage, talk to your doctor and ask what see what he has to say. I've taken up to 7.5 milligrams in a day with no adverse side effects. However, right now I do about 1 5 milligram pill maybe every third day.
Okay.
So
you don't take it daily?
I don't take it daily, no. I've been on it for 17 years, and I kind of like, there is some theory that you kind of build up you kind of load your body with the drug, and it takes about 2 weeks for your DHT levels to go back to normal. So you can kind of do what's called intermittent therapy, where you might take 1 milligram every other day or every third day. I started with 5 milligrams, so I'm not going to lower my dosage. So I take probably maybe 3 or 4 days a week. I take 1 pill of a Proscar pill.
Yeah, and I'm a really active kid. I used to go to the gym. I haven't been to the gym to work out in probably 1.5 years, 2 years, just because of the whole mental thing.
Dude,
I just stay away from the gym,
dude,
but I do still play basketball.
You know what? Get back in the gym, man. How old are you? 22?
Yeah, I'm 22. Well, I mean, I do cardio. I play basketball at least 3 times a week for a couple hours.
That's good.
Every time I go. So I'm in the gym in that sense, but I don't lift weights anymore or anything like that.
Now, why is it?
I've noticed my hair loss really speeds up when I'm working out.
You know what?
That.
Listen, I'm not a big believer in that, but do push-ups, pull-ups, things like that. You want to maintain your muscle tone, man, and you want to stay strong. It's important to have a good physique. It really is.
I was just talking about the gym in general. I kind of stay away from the gym, but I still keep myself in shape. I do push-ups around the house, sit-ups, and I go play basketball, get my cardio in. So I stay healthy. I eat right, but I'm just the gym's it's so much. It's just like a fashion show nowadays at the gym, and it's hard to keep up with, and it's mentally draining to be at the gym.
Yeah, well, then don't do it. But you can maintain your body. You can build muscle just by using your own body. Doing push-ups, doing pull-ups, things like that. It's really the guys that abandon that because they have fear that they're raising their testosterone, they're going to lose more hair. It could be coincidental, but I do not think that it really attributes to it as much as, and again, I'm not a doctor, as much as some people think. When you have sex or if you masturbate, you raise your testosterone levels. Maybe even higher than when you're working out in the gym. So,
that's really interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that concerned about it. I think it's probably coincidental, but just do pull-ups, push-ups, and play basketball. It's important because once you start to see your body declining, you're going to get even more depressed. I mean, hair is important.
Do you think that could be a reason that I may need to take a higher dosage? Because all the activity, and do you sweat it out easier if you are working out?
No, I don't think you're sweating it out. I just think that it's possible for you. You may need more, medication to, stop the conversion of DHT. That's something you have to talk about with your doctor. But I'm glad you're not having side effects. I'm glad you realized that at least for you, it was mental.
Okay.
All right, bro. Listen, keep calling. If you need my help, I'm here, and I wish you the best of luck.
Okay, can I ask you one more question before we get off?
Yes, you can. Sure.
Okay, so with the whole, I was just thinking about possibly getting a hair transplant this summer. I just wanted to get your thoughts and feelings on that, and also if I decide to do that, I'm a student, so I'd have to finance somehow or.
Here are my thoughts. I took a brief look at your Facebook page. At this point, you are not a candidate for a hair transplant. I don't know. You can send us your latest pictures. I think the best thing for you to do is post your images on Bald Truth Talk and let the users answer your question. I would say that most people will probably say you're not a candidate. You don't want to potentially risk shock loss, looking worse than when you're going in. Surgery, man. Once you get cut, that's it, and I think a lot of guys, young guys, panic, and they regret it when they're 30. You know what I mean? So right now you're what, 21?
Yeah. 22.
Yeah, just, I think your next step, if you don't think medication is working for you, maybe, contact your doctor, ask what he thinks about raising your dosage and see how that works. But surgery is really a last resort. 22 is really young to have a hair transplant. There may be a time, in 5 years, you may think to yourself, you know what, I don't really care about this. I look good, I feel good, I'm confident, I have a great life. I don't want to have surgery. But when you have it now, you're kind of stuck. And even if you have a surgery like an FUE surgery, it's still surgery. So I would wait. I don't think it's a great idea to have surgery at 22.
Well, I was just thinking because of the retrocell and the advances we're making right now, I was just kind of leaning on that as if I'm going to get a hair transplant, I could get it now and it could hold me off until then and keep me happy because that was my thought process.
I would love that, and that kind of makes sense, and I get where you're coming from, but the truth is we don't know if Replacel is going to come to fruition. We don't know if, in your particular case, if a hair transplant is going to shock the rest of your hair out. And you're going to be fucked. How would you feel about that?
I'm not good.
Yeah, so don't panic, man. I know how devastating it is, but try to kind of, step back and keep a level head and realize that there is a chance, especially in your position, being young and probably still having a lot of hair from what I saw in your pictures, you could look worse after the transplant, and that would be devastating. You'd be in hoc, you'd have to finance a transplant, and you'd be paying this every month with, possibly looking worse. There is a chance you could look better for sure, but 22 years old is just still too young, in my view, to have a hair transplant. So I would hold off, if you can.
Okay.
All right, bro. Good luck.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, Spencer.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Joe, I don't mean to bum this kid out. I know that I did by giving him this advice, but I mean, I don't want him to damage himself,
I think you're 100% correct because he could experience shock loss, which would definitely freak him out. And he should wait a while. I did it at a very young age. My feeling on that is.
Well, that's the problem. These guys are so desperate. I know what it was like to be 22 and losing your hair. I know what it feels like. I know how devastating it is. I know that you dream about it when you're that age. It's so screwed up. I mean, you think about it 24 hours a day, and you hope against hope. You know what? I can be helped. I can get 2,000 grafts, and that will hold me over. It's possible that it will, but it's also possible that you're going to go through shock loss. You could have trauma to the donor area. There's all types of issues that you can deal with that, if you're 35 years old and you've been dealing with hair loss for a long time and you're like, you know what, I want a hair transplant, there's a good chance you're a good candidate. You're mature enough to understand the possible, the entire scope and possible pitfalls for the surgery. When you're 22, your brain, and listen, Nathan, I'm sorry, but your brain is barely developed. You're still making impulsive decisions. I just don't think it's a good idea.
I concur with Spencer, Nathan, if that means anything to you.
Joe, so the chat seemed to stop. What's happening in the chat room?
I don't know. I think it's frozen. I don't know. Some weird things are happening. Well, there's one question people are demanding. Not demanding. They keep questioning me as to when you're doing the Replica interview, prior to their announcement or after. I said I have no information on that.
Well, you know what? I'll find out. I just put a
call.
Frozen.
Frozen.
It is frozen. I just put a call into them, and we could do something before the announcement. But a lot of the guys are voicing their concerns about. Well, maybe we'll wait. Maybe you should wait, Spencer. So I'll wait.
My expert opinion, you ought to wait because by law, he's bound not to divulge any information.
Let me see if this is frozen. It is frozen, man. I can't even get through.
Yes, by security laws, he's bound. He's prohibited from giving any information.
Well, he's not prohibited from giving any information. He's prohibited from giving certain information.
Well, the information we all want to know is what is its efficacy. That's what we all want to know.
You're right. Yeah.
And he can't answer that question at this point. Correct with that assumption?
You're absolutely correct. And Joe, I just want to say you've been extremely lucid tonight, and I appreciate that.
Well, maybe due to the fact that I slept all day because I was exhausted, from all this Casarales work over the past few days. Maybe that has something to do with it.
It's possible, man. It's possible.
Well, I really appreciate you giving me this extra airtime.
Well, I wouldn't worry about it. You're the man. People want to hear from you, Joe. I'm just curious why the chat froze. That really bums me out. The image isn't frozen, is it? Am I still on the air or what?
Yeah. Your image is still there. Yeah.
All right, good.
The chat room's not working, and this finally, I'm forced to just not castigate, but strongly disagree with the remark that our good friend Tracy made in the chat room.
What'd she say?
Kind of upset me.
Why?
She said her boyfriend is a with 6.
Yeah.
And she's a hair loss expert, as we know.
Yes.
And he's saying that she's telling me it doesn't bother him. I find that kind of odd.
You know what? It probably bothered him at some point. Maybe he's come to terms with it. Maybe he's come to terms with it. Being a Norwood 6 and say he's in his 40s, I mean, he probably started losing hair at a very young age, and he's probably come to terms with it. There are people in this world, Joe, who may not be thrilled with being bald, but they've come to terms with it, and they've learned to live their lives. And those are the luckiest guys in our community. Those are the guys that, learn how to thrive and enjoy their lives.
Well, I've been suffering since the age of 12, and I've never been able to overcome it. I've gotten worse, actually.
Well, Joe, I say this all the time. You are on the one end of the spectrum. You are on the severe end of the emotional spectrum when it comes to hair loss.
Yeah. By the way, well, I appreciate that.
Well, there's nothing to appreciate. It's just it's the truth. I feel bad for you that you suffer so much.
I know. I mean, the suffering. some doctors want to help me, but there's no I can't get a dramatic improvement as of now. That's the bottom line.
Well, Joe, listen, I hope that in the next couple of years we can help you. And on that note, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody.
Will you please get me in the chair fence as soon as possible? Can you make me that promise?
Dude, first of all, you know I made you that promise years ago, so
Yeah.
I don't need to make
Yes,
it
you
again.
did. No,
All right?
I'm just venting. And by the way, I don't mean to be personal, but you look really great in that blue shirt, man. I gotta tell you that.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Joe. Have a good week. I will talk to you probably on Friday, right?
Unless you want me to call you tomorrow morning.
All right. Good night, dude. Thanks. 888. I'm not going to give out the phone number because we're going off the air. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Let me give out the websites, The Bald Truth. TheBaldTruth.com, excuse me. If you are a woman dealing with hair loss, please check out womenshairlossproject.com. For the American Hair Loss Association, check out americanhairloss.org. Until next time and next week, please be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.